Hey, this is Sheikok Barshabaz, and you're listening to Wrestling POV Global.
Hey fans, welcome to another edition of WPOV Global. I'm your host, the legend T. James Logan. Do I sound a little bit off today? You know what? I just came back from vacation. I should be happy. I should be content. But you know what? It's like a fairy tale, folks. None of that crap is true. Anyhow, let me get started with the show. First of all, introducing my co-host, the gentleman, Elio Canella. Elio.
What's going on?
Hey, buddy. Do you know we have guests this week?
I see this.
Do you know I hate them?
Oh, wow.
Let me explain. Our two guests involve somebody who is, surprisingly showed up in my hotel room. They put some money together and send me away on a route in the mountains just so that I could get away and recharge myself. And I thought, what a bunch of swell bunch, you know? And hand me the key, and then your bunkmate is there too. I'm like, excuse me, bunkmate?
Oh, no.
Hey, what is WPOV setting up for? What kind of retreat is this, right? So I get in there. There is literally bunk beds. And sitting on the top bunk, jumping up and down,
It's
crazy
me!
as usual.
Miguel!
Miguel.
Oh my goodness, it was the best vacation ever. Mr. Tom, he paid for everything.
I paid
He
for
bought
nothing.
me dinner.
I bought
he
you
bought-
nothing, puppet.
He bought me everything. I didn't have to pay for a single meal.
See,
This
so
guy is
hold
like-
on. How come he's upset with you then?
I don't know. He's my best friend, though.
Oh,
He's my best friend.
Could it be the time you sat down on the very first day and said, hey, try this special tequila? And then I woke up 3 days later.
Yes,
Could that have
it's
been
my
the
Uncle
problem?
Jose's. It was the best tequila. We had so much fun. I have so many pictures of those 3 days that you were passed out
my
drunk.
God. All I know is this, folks. If you think having a puppet is a weird thing, guess what puppets try to do to you when you're incapacitated?
Oh, no.
Hey,
There's
hey,
a place.
hey.
Hey, I'm full disclosure. I'd rather tell the fans than them find it out on some seedy puppet porn thing. I don't
What
know.
happens in the mountains of Western Canada stays in the mountains of Western Canada.
God, I wish that was true. Miguel, okay, we did have some fun.
Yes.
I don't know what to say anymore. I'm just confused. It was a strange, it was like a fever dream. I've never drinking that much tequila in my life. I have no idea where my life has gone, where my life has turned to. I don't even know if I'm married anymore. My wife seemed rather upset. So let's just get on with the show, okay? You know what, Miguel, it's nice to see you. Rick, I hope there's a very special place in hell reserved for you. Moving on.
Thank you for the great welcome to the show, guys. Tom, listen, man. I have to deal with this puppet all the time. I just wanted to play with yours. And I had Elio come on the show with us. Elio was such a relief to have on the show. He worked the soundboard. He had input. He had great knowledge of the sport. Unlike
hold on.
Miguel
Did
Cole.
you say Elio came on the show? Are you sure you're describing Elio? Great. Okay, go on.
Elio did his thing, man. And listen, man, I'm in the works with the president on getting a trade put through for Elio from Miguel Cole. So hopefully, fingers crossed. This
No.
It'll be so great. Me and Mr. Tom and Miguel. Oh my goodness.
Oh, Miguel. Hold on,
Yes.
Miguel. You probably don't know this, but because you're an American and I'm a Canadian, and with the borders closed, we can't actually have you come over and do even over the interweb. I had to get a special license to get you guys on today,
Oh
and
my
they told me it was
goodness.
a one-time thing for the year.
I didn't even think about the interweb.
Yeah,
You know
the
what?
interweb.
I'm gonna do this. I'll be right back. I'm gonna figure this out, Tom. Don't worry.
Thank
We're
you.
gonna make this happen, buddy. You're my best friend. Bye,
Yeah.
guys.
Okay, Rick. Don't you ever tell him the truth. I swear to God. Okay. Anyhow, you know what?
man.
I have lots to gripe about you guys. I went out of the way. Okay, I know I'm the hater of the week from 2 weeks ago on your show. I get that. But I put a very nice comment in. One of the things you guys talked about, did they mention, Tom from Global had some input? No, not a word. So I'm going to say it right now what it was about. And that question that I put in happened to be about Cody Rhodes and making his own 4 horsemen. And I replied that I didn't believe that Cody Rhodes would do this, because I believe he'll take the role his father did and be the man who fights the Horseman.
Against them.
And that the Horseman would be Kenny Omega. What's his name? Spears. Is it Gavin Spears? What the hell's that guy
Sean
called?
Spears.
Sean
Sean
Spears.
Spears.
Sean Spears. Now, I know he seems like a crap choice, but he comes with Tully. That's the only reason, the connection.
Yeah. No,
And
I
then
get it.
FTR. Now, Barry Windham was a damn good wrestler. You have to be under 35 not to appreciate that he was not the fourth wheel of the Horseman. If anything, Arn Anderson was the suck ass when they were together.
Oh,
Oh yeah, he dumb and done his things. But Barry Windham was a legitimate U.S. He even was a WCW or NWA World Champion, for God's sakes, at one time. The guy was legit. Blackjack Mulligan's son, man. He's pedigreed. Did you know he was Mulligan's son?
No, of course not. He was the fourth.
Because you're under 35, right?
Exactly.
Exactly.
I knew he was. Him and Kendall Windham.
Oh, never bring
You know
up
what?
Kendall Windham. That'll just ruin our case
Oh.
right there.
But Elio didn't mention that. Elio actually told us not even to read your comment. So that was that. I'm
What?
just saying.
Oh my God. Okay, you know what? Let's get on with today's show. Let's get on. We're going to talk some
Do it.
hot topics here. But you know, I've been gone. It was a nice retreat. Miguel showed me a crazy side. I guess I walked on the felt side is the best way to put this. It was crazy, but I'm back. I'm back, and we're recharged. I feel ready to go. You know what, guys? Rick, you sent me something. We already had 2 hot topics lined up for the week. And you sent a third topic because it was hard-hitting and it was cutting and it just happened. And let's explain really what this was about. Is Rick sent me a clip that's showing up. I guess, when did this show up? Yesterday all over the interweb?
I think it was today, actually.
Today?
Oh, no, on Wednesday.
No, it was
Wednesday.
yesterday, Wednesday. Okay. So this thing comes to me, and it talks about Excalibur. It's from a Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, I believe PWG, where we see Excalibur using the N-word to get cheap heat.
Yep.
And in this day and age where we find ourselves in such racial turmoil. Now, the thing I don't know is I don't know exactly when this clip came from. I don't know how old. Does that make a difference? I'm not sure. But let's start off, first of all, we dealt with Sammy Guevara. He went out and said he wanted to rape Sasha Banks, which he thought was a funny joke. Then we have the situation here at a Pro Wrestling Guerrilla show, cutting a promo. Excalibur uses a very derogative racial slur, and not in a funny way whatsoever, not in a way to ha-ha, tongue-in-cheek. It was out and out disgusting. And we're going to talk about that right now. Now, first of all, I know, Rick, you're a little bit hot on this.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
When you saw this, tell me what went through your mind.
My jaw hit the floor. I couldn't believe it. And the fact that there was a black wrestler in the ring who he was using the slur against. And he didn't say just once, he said it twice. And it was just like, and just in case you didn't hear it, folks, I'm going to say it again. And he said it again. And it's just like it doesn't even matter about this day and age. This has been going on for decades. We know that that is not okay. And he just went on this little tirade, and it was just like cheap heat is the worst. Like, and you guys know me. I hate cheap heat. I hate when people curse for no reason. It's just like, that is not the way to get heat. Now, for me, the way to get it is psychological. You want to get into the other person's head. You want to hit them where it hurts. But when you start using racial slurs and cursing and stuff like that, you've lost me. And Excalibur should be excommunicated from AEW if from my POV. There is no coming back from that. And not only was that the only video, there was another video where he used it to say like do the Harlem Heat thing. I'm coming for you. And that's what he did. And it's just like, that's not okay, brother. So if I was AEW, he's gone. There's no coming back from that.
Now, before I'm going to ask Rick a question here, and before I ask this, I want to just preference by saying I find that this behavior unacceptable also, especially in the context of wrestling. Okay. Now, I actually had a discussion recently with my wife talking about people using racial slurs, using anti-Semitic, using anti-women, anti-homosexual, all those kind of things, right? We talked about this, and it came up about comedy, okay? And I said, comedians, I think, are the only people in the world who should have free reign when they're on stage performing to say whatever they say. They can use racial slurs. They can use anti-Semitic only in that forum that you're on stage. you, the person, have gone in, you've paid your money knowing that this guy is going to joke about these things. He's not going to get off stage and talk amongst people about that. He's not going to do interviews and do stuff like that. The jokes are going to hopefully be funny, but they're going to take that tack. And I think that is the only place in the world that that's acceptable. I don't think it's acceptable in television shows, even if you're trying to catch the drama. I don't think it's acceptable at a wrestling show, trying to garner heat, because none of that stuff is in any kind of form of satire or any kind of awakening, which comedians usually actually use racism and those things to open up some kind of satire to make you look at stuff. This isn't that. Excalibur didn't do that. He didn't go out to try and make us look at something else. Now, as I feel very strongly about this, the question I want to ask you then is this, Rick, okay? You get involved quite a bit in wrestling.
Yes.
Right? Now, you are also not exactly a fully white man. You are Hispanic, right?
Yep.
Now,
half Puerto Rican, half Italian.
Okay. Now, suppose, and I'm not taking a thing here. I just want you to get your thing on this. Suppose I was a promoter and I said, Rick, we're going to get into the thing. We've got this heel coming in. He's a total jerk, hillbilly, say. I don't know. He's a cowboy. I don't know what he is. He's a total white guy. And he says, hey, Rick, I want to get the people really mad, so I'm going to start calling you. And what's the worst word that a Hispanic man could be called?
For me, it's spick. That's probably the worst thing you could say. Yeah.
So he says, okay, Rick, you know I don't mean this, dude, but I'm just going to call you a spick in front of them just so that they'll think what a piece of shit I am, and then you'll be the hero. Yeah. Now, would if that was to happen, honestly, and they just said, you know, it's not going to be that big of a thing, but it might be to you. Is it okay if to get heat, man, I just say that? He comes to you and says that. He says, dude, if you say to me no effing way, I won't do it. But I think we could get a lot of heat if I come out and talk like a horrible racist dude, and you guys come in and you get the revenge later that night.
What I do as a professional, I look at him, I tell him no, and then I go to the owner and I say I do not want to work a program with this man because he thinks using racial slurs is a way to get heat. And and for me, ring psychology, like I said, it's a major thing, and you either have it or you don't. And I don't want to work with somebody that feels like taking the easy way out. And that's just awesome. Yeah.
I agree with you. Now, what would you do though if you were in the locker room and next to you was another Hispanic wrestler, and you weren't even involved in the story and you were listening, and that guy came and said the same thing to him, and that guy was like, yeah, that's a good idea, man. That'll really get them hated, and then I'll come in and up and be the hero later. Does that change if the person who's the target has come out and said, hey, you know what? Call me any racist thing you want. Let's make the fans just go frothing mad. You call me spick. You call me whatever other things. And it's cool with me because I know you don't mean it and you're just getting heat from it. Now, does that change that whole thing? Because I'm wondering if that black wrestler, if he's going to come forward and say, hey, Excalibur talked to me and said, and that doesn't change it, but instead, does Excalibur came to me and said, hey, you know what, let's get some heat. And what if he even suggested, I said, yeah, why don't you just call me the N-word? Yeah. And you know what, people probably yell. And Excalibur's like, you think that'll work? Well, we don't know. But what if he was like, well, okay. And he went out and did it. Does that change it?
No, that's a great point. But for me, it's, again, this person, like, I don't speak on behalf of all Hispanic people, Italian people, Puerto Rico. He doesn't speak on behalf of all black people. And what the narrative is that word is offensive to millions of people. So just because one person is okay with him saying it, I'm totally against it. And I'll give you a little story. I've had a situation where I was in the middle of the ring. My group was cutting a promo, and then another manager came out from another faction, and he was talking about him as billionaire Ted, and she got a Trump 2020 shirt on, and he's going down and saying racial things that Donald Trump has said, and he's promoting that. And my two guys that I was with were jumping along and cheering with him. And I wasn't about that. I stepped back in the corner, and I looked at the crowd, and I said, I don't know what they're talking about, but I'm not about that. But screw you guys, because I'm better than you. Yeah. So I try to turn it, because I'm not, that's not who I am. Right. I'm never going to be in a situation where it's okay to be derogatory or whatever. If I feel different, I'm going to let you guys know. And you guys know that with me. I'm an open book. I'm going to tell you how it is, straightforward. And that's just who I am. And I wish more people were like that, where you can see something wrong and you actually say something about it. So for me, Excalibur is done.
Okay.
Elio, what do you think about this whole thing? Like, what do you think the consequences should be for Excalibur?
For Excalibur, like we've talked a lot about how he was like, we enjoyed his commentary more on the weekly AEW shows, but after this, I can't really look at him the same.
Okay. Now, Rick, you brought up something really interesting. We talk about on the show when the coolest part is we all have point of views and we all come in with what we believe is our direction. And it's kind of amazing when we get into a conversation and one of us influences the other to go, hey, okay, you know what? That kind of changes my point of view a bit. Okay. Now, I've been very clear about the fact, I've talked about this over the last while about racism. Not cool with it. Okay. I'm not cool with it at all. Right. There was a tiny part of me going into this conversation with Rick where I was like, well, you know what if that dude told Excalibur to do that, you know? And then after talking to you, Rick, you know what it makes me feel like now? It makes me feel like if that dude said it was cool to do that or even suggested it, that he and Excalibur are the two in the wrong here. They're both, because neither of them speak for a race of people. Neither of them speak for things. It changed my attitude. I thought, well, maybe it would be more levity. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad if that guy said it. But no, what that guy is also doing, if he said it, if the guy comes out and says, hey, you know, back off Excalibur, I told him it was cool and stuff, well, then he's propagating hate for his own race in a time where, you know what, this ain't cool. We see all this stuff going on right now. It's not cool to be part of, let's keep that horrible line of thought going. You know, it's the same reason why I'll admit this. When I was 15 years old, I saw Terry Gordy and the Fabulous Freebirds, and they came out. I remember they had painted their faces with the Confederate flags during that year. I thought that was cool at that time. I didn't really know what it meant. I had no idea. It was this cool thing, a flag. Whoa, whoa. This day and age, I'm glad it's out of NASCAR. I'm glad that people are taking it down. I'm glad those symbols of oppression and Southern bullshit are being taken down across the nation. And there's just no room for it. I'm sorry. Sure, the flag looks cool. It's the General Lee off of the Dukes of Hazzard. But you know what? It stands for something gross and sour, and it's something we don't need anymore. It's the same reason why the Germans have banned the swastika across, even though, you know, that was their biggest party. They gave them the biggest power. They realized the shame and the disgustingness. You know, in Germany right now, Rick, if you were to draw a swastika somewhere, not only would you get fined for like graffiti or whatever, public defacement, you also get an extra higher fine, which includes jail time for propagating hate symbols. So yes,
like there's no room for that. And like I always say, like some people may have issue with us speaking on politics and stuff like that, but you know what? When the door gets open, we're allowed to talk about it. Like I said, when people and my wife brought up a great point. She said, when people start using the excuse that, oh, well, I use wrestling or sports as an escape, I have no room in my life for this. Well, that's because you've never dealt with oppression in your life. Mm-hmm. So when you say that the fact that you have a place to escape the regular life of other people, that's a privilege. And you need to reevaluate the way you look at things. So unfortunately, there have been a lot of heinous stuff going on in the wrestling world in the last couple of months, and this is proof that we need to clean this shit up so we can get on to a regular, normal life.
Well, let's face it, it's been going on for years. It's only coming to light right now because it's a systematic problem that needs to be dealt with. Now, what should be done with Excalibur? Going into this, I had jokingly said to Elio, oh, maybe he'll have to go take some sensitivity training and he'll be back next month with no pay, because that seems to be kind of like the thing, you know. But I'd like to believe, that there is room for redemption. I like to believe there is room for people to grow and change. I'm not going to throw Excalibur under the bus and say he should be drummed out of town, whatever. But I need to hear from him an actual apology, a real apology. I'm not saying he has to do some dramatic gesture, but he has to sit down and do a real, say, you know what, soul searching. And he has to believe it, because if he doesn't, if that's who the dude is, get the hell out of wrestling. You're part of the problem. If you're just some idiot who got rode in the tide and you did some stupid thing and now you realize the consequences of the hurt you've done, there is room for forgiveness. Because in this world, if we don't have forgiveness, man, we're all going to kill each other in the end over every difference. So what should be done with Excalibur? I think, first of all, he needs a real heartfelt apology. If that wrestler had nothing to do with it, if he was just the black guy who was in the ring that he said these things to, I think he's got to apologize to him first, and then to apologize to the wrestling audiences that have had to hear this. And yes, I think he needs a little bit of a break. And you know what? If sensitivity training can help someone, we know this. We've talked about this, Rick. Therapy is something that's important for people.
Yep.
And I think maybe he needs a month or two to really deal if there are issues there. Because if there's no issues really there, if he just got caught up and he said some stupid shit, well, you know what? They'll find that out in therapy. They'll realize, he'll realize right away that he was a dummy and he said some stupid, hurtful things. He'll feel it and he'll apologize. I'm cool with that. If he does have a problem, then maybe he needs to stay in longer till he learns to find out what the root of that problem is. Because racism is just things that have been parted from us from our environment and from our family, where we think a lower amount of values of other people because we've been taught that. And that kind of thinking can be changed. That kind of stuff can be fixed. It has to be. Because if it's not, like I said, this whole world, we're all going to start killing each other over every difference.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe eye color, maybe eyebrows, maybe hair, who knows what. It's been like that forever. We don't need to be like that.
Well, hopefully it's not hair, because you're in trouble.
I know. It better not be. And you're kind of vacillating back and forth. So I never know what camp you're in. Sometimes you're my buddy, sometimes you're not. You know what I mean? So you know what, fans? That's the last thing we'll say about this for now. Excalibur, he needs some soul searching. He needs some work to do in his head, and he needs to be off television. It's sad. Elio did bring up one point. We had just been talking for the last couple of weeks. As he's, besides Chris Jericho, he's the only good thing on AEW. The commentary team right now, you got Tony Schiavone, who he is so bored and disinterested unless it's Britt Baker. You've got JR, who's on some weird.
He's angry.
He's in a crusade to prove that he's hip to the young people. He's always got his now smart remarks, which he's constantly saying, which was funny the first week. Now you just sound like a bitter old shit who just has nothing else to say. But look at me. I'm actually the cool grandpa. No, grandpa. If you say you're cool, you're never the cool grandpa. Okay? But, yeah. So, Excalibur, you done fucked up, man. Can we agree on that, boys?
Yes, absolutely. Yep. And if he apologizes, no mask.
Yes.
There's no way you can wear that mask and apologize. Like, I'm not taking you serious if you apologize with that mask on.
And you know what? This was what really surprised me, Rick, because, and maybe, I don't know if that's just our sight of what we see or how we're conditioned, but have you ever noticed on the back of his mask, it kind of looks like beads and stuff? Like maybe his hair was dreadlocks or something. I always assumed maybe he was a colored guy, or maybe he was, of a mixed race or something. So that when this came out, I was like, what? Very shocking. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to see where that goes from here. Now, our next topic. You think we know some anger? Well, this is a different kind of anger, because this isn't indigenous anger. This is Marko Stunt.
Oh boy.
You had to throw that out there, didn't you?
Ooh, I knew it. I knew it when we had Elio on the show, and we said we're gonna talk about Marko Stunt on Global. TJ is gonna have a ball with this one.
Yes.
And let me tell you something. The comments that you guys got on this is asinine 10 and 11.
Oh my Lord. If anybody really thinks a comparison between Marko Stunt and Rey Mysterio flies in any of the infinite universes that are possible, there is no one reality where Marko Stunt is on the same level as Rey Mysterio Jr.
Oh,
Not one. And we have ultimate universes out there. Guys, first of all, weigh in. Let's do, you know what, Rick? Marko Stunt, weigh in, buddy.
Yeah, you know what? First of all, I want to just say this about Rey Mysterio. We just crowned him on Wrestling POV Quarantine as the greatest masked wrestler of all time. When you're the greatest of all time in any subject in wrestling, that's saying a lot. Mm-hmm. What can we say that Marko Stunt is the greatest at? Nothing. And the fact that people, he's 5'2" and Rey's 5'4". Rey is 5'6". Even if he was 5'4", or even if he was 5'2", do you see the difference between him? He's been to a gym. Come on. The guy moves around the ring like nobody's business. Right? Come on. All right, Marko Stunt. Marko Stunt is a joke of a character. He's not taken seriously.
Because he's not an athlete.
He's not an athlete at all. He's just one of those guys that run around the ring. He's one of those little people that you have a comic relief. Like back in the 80s, they had a bunch of little people running around, and it was just something funny. He's the Hornswoggle of AEW. There's nothing to be serious. They should have a WLC match like they did a couple of years ago.
Oh, Jesus.
Like, I don't see what people see in him. Yes, he can do a hurricanrana. A lot of wrestlers can do that nowadays. He can run and he can jump. Okay, a lot of wrestlers can do that. Does that make him a wrestler? No. He can get his ass kicked. So can a lot of other wrestlers. He's making Kenny Omega look like a giant. And Kenny Omega's like, what, 6'2", 3"?
No, he's not even. Kenny Omega's maybe like 6 feet, maybe 5'11".
So exactly. You're making Kenny Omega look like a giant? Come on, man. The guy's not to be taken serious. You want to make him a manager, make him a manager. You want to make him one of those guys that does what Zelina Vega does and hurricanranas people every now and then? Fine. But do not make me don't make me feel like he's a wrestler. Don't make me fucking go out there and say, well, you know what? He is to be taken seriously.
No.
That's a joke.
What?
Come on,
All
guys.
right.
I mean, Elio's taller than him.
Right?
I
And I'm
will tell
5'2".
Elio, what weigh in on Marko?
Oh, what can I say about this guy? Well, you already know. We follow him from MLW.
We don't follow him. We don't follow him. Don't say that shit.
Wow, you know what I mean.
Maybe you follow him on Grindr. Did Andy say you had a Grindr account on it? Anyways, go on.
Ace Romero threw him around the ring.
Mm-hmm. But,
Marko Stunt, you can't take the guy seriously. I mean, every time you see him in the ring, he gets thrown around like he's not a wrestler. He's more suited to be a manager overall.
Okay. You know what? I look at Marko Stunt, and I'm going to get past all the jokes, all the silly stuff. Let's say it right now. Marko Stunt, you turn him on, and he's a pathetically small dude who really isn't that talented. Okay? He really isn't. I mean, you can only watch a guy get beat up so many times, and if he can't really rise up to actually vindicate himself, then what is he? He's a guy who is purposely putting himself in to get beatings. Okay? The first time I saw Rey Mysterio Jr. was late night on George Michael's Sports Machine, which is a syndicated television show across the U.S. back then, showing sport highlights. They rarely showed wrestling. They showed Rey Mysterio. They didn't show him as, look at this tiny guy. They showed him as legitimate badass. Check out this great Mexican wrestler making waves in the U.S. The fans who are comparing like that in a favorable way, oh my God, give your guy's head a shake. Something's loose in there. Like, take that shit out of your head. Okay, do you got any comments there, Elio? You got any popped up for me?
Let me pull up the comments here.
Let's see what the global nation has to say.
Okay, so
Go ahead, Elio.
Chris Schultz says, no, it just doesn't work. Silly gimmicks don't help build a solid brand.
Fair enough.
Okay. Dustin Denner says, if Ray can, why can't he?
Because you're an idiot, Dustin. Okay, next.
Caleb D. Bailey replies with, because Ray's 4 inches taller and often wrestled like he's even bigger than that. Ray is also a talented lucha libre style wrestler. Well, Marko can barely perform a high spot without it obviously being set up or someone standing still for 4 minutes.
Yes. We're going to talk about it later on in AEW tonight, but that pathetic throwing him around spots they did today was just ridiculous.
Let's see. Daniel Armendariz says, he's cool, but acting like a comic relief character all the time won't help.
How is he cool?
True.
How is he cool?
Listen, he may have something that people like. And listen, I'm not saying you shouldn't like him. I'm just saying we can't take him seriously. Yeah. I mean, if that's what makes you enjoy wrestling, all the power to you. But don't sit back and tell me that he's supposed to be taken seriously. And listen, we know we're the WWE guys. You guys cover AEW and stuff like that. But I'm a fan of all kinds of wrestling, and I'm able to decipher what's good and what's bad. And this is a bad look for AEW. You need to be, if you want to be taken seriously, you need to get away from this guy and do things differently. And I want to bring up TNA Impact because we will be doing that. We did that yesterday on quarantine. And one of the biggest downfalls was trying to be WWE. Bischoff and Hogan and Dixie Carter trying to be WWE. You can't like WWE, they can do comic relief spots because they have a 3-hour show. So bottom line is this. Raw is a 3-hour show. SmackDown is a 2-hour show. NXT is a 2-hour show. AEW, you only have 2 hours. They have 7 hours. They can fit in comedy skits and stuff like that. You don't have the time. You barely have enough time to have your tag team champions, your women's champion on a weekly basis. So come on, guys. You have to get it together. You're not WWE. You want to be better than WWE, so then you need to do things that they're not doing. Jesus. Marko Stunt. Come on, guys.
Hey, Elio, you had some last few things you want to say?
There's like a few more comments, and like one from Adam Lavelle says, "Hell no, he's not just 5'2". He's as skinny as a 12-year-old anorexic girl."
That's right, Adam. Thumbs up, buddy.
And then Mike Ramsey says no, and Jonathan King says yes.
Okay.
And then there was like a million Rey Mysterio comparisons.
Yeah, there's like a whole bunch of them. A whole bunch of Rey Mysterios.
You know what? I took home the hater of the week comment a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
And I've changed it for this. It's now the flatulator of the week because all you're doing is farting out your ass if you're talking and thinking like that. It goes to every single one of you idiots who put that Rey Mysterio Jr. is that low of a level that Marko Stunt could possibly be there. Okay? You guys are the flatulence of the week. Fart on yourselves. All right. Let's go on to the last topic of our hot topics this week. What was that third topic?
Okay, so the third topic was, we all know Sammy Guverra made his return. So the question was, is it too soon for Sammy Guverra to have returned to AEW?
Who wants to weigh in and start first?
Go ahead, Elio.
Okay, Elio.
I'm going to say that a month, I don't know if a month is good enough. Like, I would have given him like a bit longer, kept him off a bit longer before bringing him back. Because, I mean, we already had talked about this, how if he came back, he separated himself from the inner circle. But that's how they brought him back. So I would have kept him off longer and thought of another role for him to play on AEW. Okay.
Now, before I get Rick to sign in, I'm going to say he didn't see today's episode yet, I don't think, because he's been covering over on NXT. One thing I did notice, did you notice they did a whole kind of gang beatdown on Sammy in the middle of the thing? Like there's a couple times they had him and everybody.
Oh, yeah, I did see that, yeah.
Yeah, it seemed in a way it was sort of, I think it was the right thing. I think the month was a solid good thing. I like the fact they donated money to a woman's shelter. They donated for his salary. Like I said, I'm going to be dumb here. Maybe I'm being naive, but I'm going to believe that Tony Khan, who seems to be taking a very proactive role in a lot of this stuff, I'm going to believe that he went to the psychologist that Sammy went to and said, you know, is Sammy really like learning this, or is he just rolling his eyes and laughing through this, you know? And I like to believe that the guy said, you know what, Sammy realizes what he did was stupid. Everything I've seen from this guy, he just seems like kind of a young, dumb kid, but he doesn't seem like a mean-spirited person. He doesn't seem like, you don't hear stories about him being a douchebag behind the scenes. I mean, let's face it, he obviously had to have a good attitude and a good work ethic to get the breaks in the beginning. Nobody knew who the hell Sammy Guevara is. They put him on that first pay-per-view out of nowhere. So I'd like to think that, you know, he was a cocky guy. We've all done it. We've all shot our mouths off. We've all said words. We've regretted. We've all done these things. But you know what? I like to think that he apologized to Sasha Banks right off the thing. To me, that was a big thing. I think a month was good. I think if he starts this stuff regularly, if it happens again, I think he's going to have to go the way of Excalibur for a long time. But I'm okay with it. I think it was, you know, and I think it was a symbolic thing how they had him getting the kind of gang beat up by everybody a few times during this match. Rick?
All right, so did he get eliminated? Did he get taken out of Inner Circle? Or
nope.
It's just
no, he showed up last week. He showed up in a mask to help.
Yeah,
Jericho.
I know that.
And then they had a big 10-man tag this week. However, there was a couple times where he was isolated by everybody, and they kind of beat the snot out, and he took the loss. Yeah, and
Got
took
you.
the lost pin. Yeah.
All right. See now, and fans, I'm sorry if I'm behind. It's just I have a lot of stuff that I'm covering. But for me, I think the biggest slap in the face was that he was still with the Inner Circle, and I think Elio brings up a great point when he says that he should have been doing something else, because this character that he had comes off slimy, and it comes off just. Like, it comes off like he's the guy that would say that he wants to rape somebody. You know, like, it's just the look and the tongue sticking out of his mouth and all that stuff. It just it doesn't leave a good taste in my mouth. So it's just like, so for me, I feel like the month was too short.
Okay.
I feel like Tony Khan was just like, all right, listen, just go away. Just like they did with Jimmy Havoc. Go to rehab and better yourself. Even though we know Jimmy Havoc ain't coming back. I don't think he's coming back.
That guy was worse shit, man.
Yeah, he was definitely way worse. But with Sammy Guevara, I feel like they did the same thing. And it was like, no, he's getting help, guys. I do appreciate that the women's organization actually stepped out and released their comments about him and his success in recovering and becoming a better person. I can definitely appreciate that. So that kind of smoothed things out for me. But ultimately, him being with the Inner Circle just doesn't work for me. I think what should have happened was that he turned on the Inner Circle and just became a face, just to overcome this bad look that the bad perception that he's been having. And I think he could have done a lot better on his own than to now go back and just be accepted by these guys that he's been riding with, even though he just did something heinous, in my opinion, you know? So that's my take on it.
Okay, fair enough. Folks, did we have anyone weigh in on that one?
We had one comment.
Let's hear.
From Clay Cummings. He says,
Clay Cummings, never heard of that name before. Okay, go on.
I don't think it was too soon. I think he's learned his lesson, and a month suspension plus classes was enough for what he said. Hopefully he learned better and it never happens again.
Okay. Well, you know what? We're a tiny bit divided here. Once again, as Ric's talking and very passionately, I'm getting the point of what he's saying about him coming back as a face, and I can see now the kind of sliminess. I mean, in my opinion, it was like the Inner Circle kind of suffered without him. I mean, he kind of actually gelled it, you know?
Yeah.
But I do see your guys' point. Now, before Ric disappears off into the ether, and we're going to plug a whole bunch of crap before the break, me and Elio are just going to talk really super quick about 2 matches on New Japan this week. What was the name of that crazy thing? The Lord of
Sengoku Lord of Nagoya.
Yeah, say that 3 times fast. All right, that was.
No, I need to say it only 2 more times if you want me to say it 3 times.
No, don't bother. Now, folks, we had here the first title defenses. Well, one title defense. First of all, Shingo taking on El Desperado.
Yep.
Now, the problem with this match, it was a good match. It wasn't a great match. The problem I had, Elio, is Shingo's massive. He should be a heavyweight. Okay, he's defending the mid-heavyweight title. I don't think anyone, including El Desperado's mom, thought he had a chance to actually win this match this night. He did okay, but nobody really. It was one of those when you go in and you know that Dolph Ziggler is no way in hell going to beat Drew McIntyre. It's one of those things you just know it's not going to happen, right?
Actually, I was going to bring this up. Yeah, I liked the next match that you're going to bring up a lot better than the Shingo one.
All right, and the second match was the first title defense of Evil, putting up, ironically, against a mid-heavyweight champion, Hiromu Takahashi, where once again, Hiromu really, he's got that style. It's very frantic. I don't know if you recognize, if you've ever seen Hiromu Takahashi fight, Ric, but he is the guy who does a lot of these moves where he'll like leapfrog over somebody and then power bomb them off the apron, straight on the cement or into something. All his moves are high impact. He actually broke his neck doing a move like that, and he was out for quite a while. Hiromu wrestles like he hasn't learned nothing, man. He's out there just throwing his body around like crazy. But let's face it, Evil's got like 40 pounds on him. That makes a big difference in a heavyweight fight, especially in the style of Japanese wrestlers. It was a fun match. There was no way in hell that Hiromu Takahashi was going to walk out of there with the belt. Evils gets his first title defense in, like his new things. Now, I'm confused. Ric, I know Kairi Sane left WWE, because she got married. Now, she used to date Evil. Is that who she married?
I
Or was it a different
honestly,
guy? Do you know?
I honestly don't know. No,
I know they dated.
feel like,
I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like that would have been on news that she was married to Evil, but I'll definitely look into that because that first of all, that's like a Beauty and the Beast kind of thing. I hope she didn't marry Evil.
Well, let's be fair here. Evil, without all his stupid makeup, is actually not that bad-looking Japanese fella, you know. But I do know they dated quite a bit, but I don't know if she is the one that, you know. I don't know if they were been together for the last while, so I don't know. Okay, I'm curious. New Japan, looking fun. They're keeping the rings clean. We got some more stuff coming up. Obviously, they're looking at who did they have a run in at the end of their. Well, Naito, I guess, is definitely going to be probably getting a reshot somewhere down the line, and I don't know, maybe Okada. But anyways,
what I've heard about Okada is that he doesn't want to be in the title picture.
Yes, he wants to develop other guys.
Yeah, so that's first of all, that's huge for any wrestler to say. And to come out and say that publicly, like that's a big up to Okada, man. Like
Okada's amazing.
If you don't have respect for him after that, well, first of all, you should have respect for him. But if you don't have respect for him after that, then you're bad for business, in my opinion.
He is probably, I would honestly put him in the top 5 best wrestlers for the last 4 or 5 years.
Oh, for sure.
I know Tony won't agree with this, but Kenny Omega is definitely in there too. I know Omega's been kind of dicking it down, being kind of silly comedy stuff. I think that's going to turn around. I watch my prediction.
Hope so.
I think the cleaner is going to come back, and it's going to be the head of the Horsemen, and I think he's going to be one scary ass where everyone's like, "Holy crap, he's the best bout machine."
I think we saw something, like a small peek tonight.
Yeah. Definitely. We'll go over that in the next thing. But you know what? We're going to go to break. Before we do, we got some plugging to do. First of all, I know that we're on a bunch of different formats and different apps and whatnot that you can hear us on. Rick, I believe we've joined a new one now. We're under the banner of TuneIn. Is that right?
TuneIn Radio. Yeah,
TuneIn
absolutely.
Radio.
Yeah.
And rattle off the other ones. I know you know the other ones.
Yeah, of course. Along with iTunes, YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, we are now on TuneIn Radio. So, guys, you have no excuse not to tune in. See what I did there? Tune in to Wrestling POV Global and Wrestling POV Podcast. And if you go to our Facebook page at Wrestling POV, you check us out on quarantine every week. And we've been doing that since the quarantine has started, and we've been covering topics from all over the world. And you get to see Tom's beautiful head, and you get to see Elio's beautiful face.
So shiny. What about you, Rick? You're on there. We get to see your beautiful shiny teeth.
I mean, you know, come on. You know, come on.
And Elio, I want you to plug for if people want to write in. And you know what? I'm starting this contest coming up, and I'll explain it in the my plug. But Elio, where do people write in if they want to leave comments? If they want to say, "Man, Rick's got some shiny teeth, Tom's handsome, and what the hell's Elio?" Where do they write?
So you reach that Wrestling POV Podcast on Facebook, Wrestling POV 1 on Instagram, and Wrestling POV on Twitter.
All right, folks. The thing I'm plugging this week is our T-shirts. ProWrestlingTees.com/WPOV Wrestling. Available $19.95 American. That's like $300 Canadian. I know, but you can get it. Just don't buy beer that week. All right. Get these shirts. We got some great shirts. We've got some great shirts for WPOV Wrestling. But we have just added also a global shirt. I love it. It's got our design, which I got to say, I've always loved our gold design of global. We've got this kind of little thing going where it's got a gentleman pointing down and a legend pointing up. Sometimes you wonder if it should be the other way. I don't know. You think it through. But, folks, I want you to know this. I've decided to do a little contest. And I don't care even if you buy POV Wrestling and not the global ones. For any fan who takes a picture of themselves wearing our shirt, you go out, buy one of those shirts. You take a picture. You send it to me. I'm going to gather them for a couple episodes, and then I'm going to pick one of those people, and I'm going to invite that person to come on to Global and talk some AEW in our second segment with us. You'll join me and Elio. Who knows? Maybe Rick will jump in. We don't know. But we will talk some Global Global. We'll talk some AEW, and I'm also opening this contest special. This is just for people who buy the Global t-shirt. You buy the Global t-shirt, you take a picture of yourself. Heck, you buy Global and another t-shirt, you send me 2 pictures, you got a better chance. I will let you join us on our roundtable episode of Quarantine, where you'll get to sit in with some professional wrestlers, talk some really cool things, see your face on camera. We'll find out all about you, and we'll just give you the hurrah treatment that you deserve for buying one of our shirts, okay? So help us, man. We're poor. If you could see us, our teeth are falling out. Help us.
Not mine.
Okay? Yeah, you got some bright ones. Anyways, that's what happens when you steal from the graveyards. Anyways, folks, we'll see you after the break.
Hey, folks, welcome back. It was kind of fun having Ric Serrano on. He's a pretty passionate guy. I'm going to give him that.
Yep, that was fun.
You know? So, you know what, folks? Let's get into AEW this week. First of all, I know, Elio, you told me we didn't really talk about too much about the show, but you told me you didn't find it as fun as last week's.
It was fun. So what I saw, because some of it I was running around back and forth, so I stepped away from the television a few times. But yeah, what I saw was fun.
All right. Well, let's go over this week's show, okay?
Okay.
We start off with our commentary team being good old JR, Taz, and Tony Schiavone. Notice Excalibur not there.
Yes.
All right. Well, we talked about that in the first segment. Taz. Yeah. Wow.
Okay. This is why I have to keep my bottle of Tums next to me during AEW, so that I can take them to digest the rhubarb diarrhea that spews out of his mouth every freaking week. Jeez.
Yeah, I can't stand him. You know what? The first match we're gonna look at had Chris Jericho in it. I was praying to God that he would come out and boot out Taz and finish the show.
I was actually surprised this was the first match, because it sounded like it was going to be the main event, but then I heard what the main event was, so I'm like, well, this makes sense, I guess.
Okay, well, what we're talking about, of course, is the opening match had the Inner Circle versus the team of the Best Friends, Orange Cassidy, Luchasaurus, and Jungle Boy. I got to say, pretty fun match. A lot of spots I wasn't exactly happy with. It looked just dumb, tossing Marko Stunt back and forth.
Yeah, and we talked about this guy in the first segment. That was so ridiculous. And Luchasaurus put him on the shoulder, threw him over the top rope. Jake Hager caught him, threw him back to Luchasaurus.
Yeah, and then they both jump off together.
It's like...
And once again, we have JR trying to be the angry hipster, I think, is what he's trying to be. It doesn't come off.
I don't know. Should we give him another week before we think about putting him back in the book?
No, I think he's earned the book today.
Okay, you know what? Jay, what should we call this?
JR, the angry hipster grandpa.
Okay, JR, the angry hipster grandpa, you just made the book.
JR, you better stop it, man. No, you know what? All of the goodwill that you earned back from us, you're just blowing away with this shitty attitude. It's not cool. It's not. You're not looking cool. It's terrible. You just look like you should honestly just get up and yell, "You kids, get out of my ring!" I mean, okay. Like we said, though, okay match. Were you surprised to see? Luchasaurus team get the victory over the Inner Circle?
Yeah, I was sort of surprised because I was expecting the Inner Circle to win, but
you don't know. I wasn't expecting Matt Hardy to come out just for no reason.
That's the part that threw me off. I was like, when they said, well, Matt Hardy's out here, where did he come from? I was wondering the same thing. Where did he come from? Because he wasn't out there.
I think Cameron, North Carolina, wasn't it? Isn't he from Cameron, North Carolina? I didn't know. I guess what they're trying to play off is, you remember Matt Hardy kind of giving Sammy kind of the nod and trying to praise him a bit before Sammy's little vacation.
Yep.
Maybe that's kind of it seems obscure and weird though that Matt would do such a heel thing, but oh well, that's wrestling for you. Good match. Gotta say, I really liked John Moxley's promo.
Yes.
Very strong, very good.
Yep.
He sounded like a tough guy who really believed in what he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
So I kudos to him. Then we had it's so funny that they brought this guy up because I saw this guy pop up on something else recently. Was Cody putting his belt up against a indie darling by the name of Warhorse?
Warhorse. We spoke about him on the other show on WPOV.
Yeah, did you guys? Okay, because I saw him pop up like last week on some show, and he's a champion in a lot of different places.
Okay.
I'm gonna say I like Warhorse. I didn't think I was gonna like him at first. I thought it was a little dumb that he was constantly doing the heavy metal thing, but it kind of grew on me.
I think the guys at the WPOV said he was the ECW official.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm hoping that Warhorse. I'm hoping just like the last couple guys they brought on to face Cody, that he gets a contract. I think there's a lot of potential with this dude.
Okay.
You?
Yeah, I want to see more from this guy. I was impressed with what I saw with this match.
For me, the part of the match that made it the coolest was the first time Cody put on the figure four, and Warhorse flipped him over and reversed it like boom, quick. That was impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we had Tony Schiavone doing an interview with Le Champion. Yeah, I just can laugh at that. And the Inner Circle guys. Pissed off because his $700 jacket got ruined with horseshoes. Promises a reckoning. Then we get a lot of look at the Dark Order stuff.
Yeah.
Then, hey, finally we got to see that chick, Anna Jay, who disappeared with the Dark Order a couple weeks ago.
You know what? I'm not happy about seeing her with Dark Order. Mm-mm.
No?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I got to admit, she kind of doesn't. I mean, she didn't really stand out too much.
Right.
In the women's division. Maybe this will help her get a footing. Maybe she can make a name for herself and then, branch off eventually as herself.
All right.
I'm hoping it gets a better spotlight on her because as fine as we took a look at her and we both liked what we saw, she wasn't that spectacular. She didn't have that unique of a look where we were going to go, oh, okay, she'll be cool. If anything, you know who she reminded me of?
Who's that?
When the first time I saw Alexa Bliss. When she was the star girl, remember? And she would do her rainbow.
Yeah, with all the glitter and stuff. Yeah. Yeah,
she kind of reminded me of that. And when I saw her the first time, I was like, she's okay, but it was still a little generic. Yeah. So
and then also remember the last time we saw her, they made her look so good with giving her that big video package, and then she loses her match.
Yeah, that's what happens in wrestling. You show off your package being too big. Sometimes you just don't get success. See what I did there? No, anyhow. So, you know what? I'm going to have to say we get the match of Omega and Page versus the Dark Order. Starts off with a lot of Page and Omega kind of struggling with each other, And I guess we could. I didn't really mention the contract signing. I don't know why they show us junk like that. I don't really need to see guys sitting in a boardroom. I didn't get the point of that. That could have just been some kind of really quick throwaway mention. And then
that's it with the FTR signing their contract or something.
Yeah. Not a fan. I thought it was pretty dumb. Why on earth Arn Anderson was with them is they said they needed a tag team specialist, yet he did nothing but sit there, didn't question or ask or anything. Yep. Does this mean some possible alliance down the road? I don't know. It might start to fit my my 4 horsemen prediction. We'll see. But this actual match between Page and Omega taking on, I gotta say, and I don't think I'd ever thought I'd say this, but after having them gone away for a while, we haven't really seen the Dark Order, Grayson and Uno, actually wrestle for a while. They came off really well in this match. They had a lot of really good combination moves. I gotta say, I was kind of impressed with them.
Until they brought it up, I didn't even know that they were the ones that were the number one contenders to the tag team titles.
You thought it was going to be Silver and the other guy. So did I the first time they said that. I was like, wait a sec, those two haven't been around. How are they the number one contenders? But I don't know. I noticed they stopped giving us the kind of like rankings.
but just like we mentioned earlier in the show, we got a peek of at a potential split between Paige and Omega, or like at least problems between them.
Yeah, and they seem to do this a lot. They have this problems. They kind of make it up, and then they go out and put out a damn good match, and they look like they're on the same. Like, let's face it, when they started gelling in the second half of the match, they were killing the Dark Order out there. It was pretty spectacular. And I know Rick doesn't agree with me, but I do really think that Paige and Omega make a very good team. Okay. They seem to combine their own devastating finishing maneuvers into a combo thing that just looks spectacular.
I like Paige and Omega.
I think they're a good team. I think it's still too soon to break them up. And I think, in my mind, if I was playing the booker here, I would keep teasing Paige joining FTR, right? Mm-hmm. And then it's a swerve. Like, they beat him down, just about kill him, and it's actually Omega.
Oh.
Them and Omega, and then have Spears join them with Tully, and boom, we got the Four Horsemen. Wow. You've got Paige out for a little while, and then Paige starts his conquest to not only get back his like juice over his tag team partner, but I think then you put the belt on Omega. I think Omega takes the belt from Moxley, and then we have a chase for a while. A good 6-month chase where Adam Page is trying to get at, and just like the Horsemen of old, Spears and FTR do everything to keep like sidelining him, attacking him, doing whatever they can till finally he defeats them and finally gets his match, down the road with Omega, and then Page becomes the big dude. That would, for me, would be the best use of these guys' talents. But until that happens, I think now that they've teased the dissension and the fact that Page is kind of hanging out with FTR a bit. I don't know if you caught how FTR was kind of ragging on Page after they drank the whiskey, and they were like, "Oh, this is cheap rock." You know what I mean? I wonder if that's just a little bit of a seed planted there for the way they really feel about Page. Because the old Horsemen of old, they were the kings of like manipulating somebody until that person thought that they were, running with them, and then boom, cut them off at the legs, So yeah.
I was going to say, what about that whole ending with Brody Lee and all that?
Boy, okay, yeah, yeah. Let's get into that. Yeah, the stories colliding everywhere here. Now Brody Lee, how stupid is Colt Cabana that he just gets set back before they ambush everybody? I mean, and Anna Jay. I mean, they wouldn't guess that's what happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, Colt's been around for years, and so that's kind of dumb. I thought it was interesting, Brody Lee, why on earth is he like making fun of Omega? Why is he pointing out Omega? Oh, thanks for showing up, blah, blah,
blah.
Right, yeah. It doesn't really serve any interest for him to have a split between Omega and Page, unless he's hoping that Page is on his own, because it seems like he's pretty pissed off at Adam Page.
Well, Page isn't ready to join the cult just yet.
Yeah. Then we have the Young Bucks come out. We have FTR come out with a foam cooler. It's just getting ridiculous because we know how light those things are. I don't know. Do we really need a Dark Order? The Dark Order and the generic minions versus the Elite and FTR. I don't think I'm all that interested in that. I mean, I guess they're trying to make Brody Lee mean something, but I don't think this is a good fit. I don't see it. You know what I forgot to mention at the end of Warhorse versus Cody, when Cody had won, and I found this interesting, is all of a sudden some of the Dark Order hit the ring. Did
Yep.
you notice the first thing Warhorse did? He shoved Cody out of harm's way and tried to take out the Dark Order by himself, which I thought was cool. And I thought, well, this is going to maybe make him a player, right? But then we have Zach, what the hell is that guy's name?
Ryder.
Zach Ryder, who now is going under his regular name, Matt Cordola or something.
Matt Cardona.
Cordola? Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So he comes in, takes out the Dark Order, makes his debut. He looked humongous compared to the Dark Order guys. Did you notice that?
Yep.
And he looked bigger than Cody. So I never realized Zack Ryder was that big of a dude, but he looked pretty big. But here's where I have a problem with that debut like that, is it made Warhorse look like garbage. Warhorse pushes Cody out, takes on the Dark Order, gets thrown out. Then Cordola, or whatever his name is, comes in, Zach comes in, kills the Dark Order guys, goes out and starts shaking hands with Cody. Cody puts his hand up. It's almost like Warhorse didn't even exist anymore. You know what I mean? He was all of a sudden he was relegated to nothing after that, and I think that was a shame. I think they had a better chance to elevate Warhorse in people's eyes, and I think having Mercury come out and clear the ring and do that stuff, and they don't even talk to him or raise his hand or anything. I think it really kind of just kicked Warhorse in the ass, and I don't think people are going to remember him. It was disheartening because I thought he looked really good out there wrestling. See what I'm saying? Maybe
no, I see what you're saying. I really hope we see more of Warhorse.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised if we don't after that, because it seemed like he was treated like a spotlight till the match was over, and then just go do your crap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Britt Baker saying she'll face Big Swole, but Big Swole has to face an opponent. Well, I think you'd be pretty stupid if you didn't guess it's going to be that chick that's hanging out with her.
Sure. As soon as she said you're going to have to find an opponent of my choosing, I'm like, it's going to be Reba or Rebel.
Yep. How could you not think that, right?
Yep.
Then we had Diamante getting a shot at Hikaru Shida.
Yep.
Liking Hikaru Shida still. She has some really good wrestling to her. This Diamante is tiny. I mean, Shida is a small Asian girl, and Diamante was being towered over her by Shida. And I don't understand why they went with Diamante, giving her the win last week and then the title shot this week, when we know that Ivelisse she can go. We've seen her in lots of promotions. I've never seen Diamante before. Maybe I'll have to look her up. Maybe I'll recognize her name or something else.
Diamante, she was with LAX.
Was she?
In Impact Wrestling.
Well, I think Ivelisse had a much better career on the indies before coming here than she did. So I was very surprised they went with Diamante instead of Ivelisse. So, You know what, fans, if I'm wrong, you think I'm wrong, write in. Tell me why. I'm always willing to listen. Then they talked about a women's tag team tournament. And this makes me just go, yuck. They're going to do it lethal lottery style.
Oh, I know, yeah. Like that old Battle Bowl thing, yeah, lethal lottery.
Now, did you recognize the girl who came out and said Cameron. It took me a minute. I was looking at her, and the other girl popped in my mind. Who's Cameron's partner?
Naomi.
Naomi. For a second, I was like, no, Naomi's bigger than this. Why does she make me remind me of Naomi? And then I was like, oh, because this is Cameron.
No, as soon as she said whatever, buy or whatever, I'm like, oh my God, that's Cameron. What?
Yeah. It took me a minute or two to see who it was. But then I remembered, man, Cameron was like the shits, man. She was a terrible wrestler. You know? I mean, she made Naomi look like Ric Flair combined with Nick Bockwinkel and Lou Thez. You know, she was terrible. So I don't hold much hope for Nyla Rose going far in this tournament because her partner is terrible.
I'm predicting elimination in the first round.
I'm predicting that Cameron or whatever her name is going to get her ass beat pretty hard by Nyla Rose at the end of this.
Sure.
Then we had MJF coming out, calling out Moxley. I found this ridiculous. I mean, Moxley is massive compared to MJF. Does he really know what he's getting his weasel ass into here? Because it doesn't sound like.
And what is it with these shots at WWE?
Oh yeah, you know.
Like,
Who knows?
it's,
Who can, yeah,
it's
bring
like,
up the ratings again, and Tony Khan has got a boner for the ratings. It looks bush league. It really does. Things like this that make me cringe. It's things that I think AEW don't subscribe to this bullshit. It just makes you guys look like petty and small time.
I mean, they want to be their own company, yet they keep like going after the other.
Yeah, they want to be their own thing, but they keep falling back on garbage.
They just
So
stop.
now, finally, we come to the main event of the night, where we get Jon Moxley and Darby Allin taking on Ricky Starks and Brian Cage, with Taz being infuriatingly even worse on commentary during this match. Interesting match. When Darby Allin pulled the skateboard out with all the tacks, and I thought, is he really going to jump on one of these guys? and if he does, is it going to be brutal? And it was freaking brutal. That Ricky Starks took a lot of heart, because you got to remember, he wasn't just hit with this thing. Darby Allin threw all his weight and rammed that skateboard into his back, covered in tacks.
Did you see where Darby Allin came out of?
The coffin drop?
Yeah, okay. Was he like on top of the?
He was on
stage?
a girder on top of the stage. I mean, they said from the rafters, but no, he was maybe like 12 feet up.
Okay.
Just above their head.
But it's still, you just that coffin drop alone right there.
That coffin drop scares me.
Yeah.
That guy, one day someone's going to miss, and he's not going to be able to catch himself, and he's going to break his neck coming down backwards and not expect it. And it's not cool. I mean, it's cool to see kind of, but I'm over it. I'm over the coffin drop. It's too dangerous. Do something else. Okay. The match, interesting. It was okay. I'm sorry, but Brian Cage, like Tony over in WPOV was kind of saying, oh, they kind of just like jobbed out Brian Cage and pretty much killed him. Well, you know what? I don't think Cage deserves to be in the championship thing. I don't think he's okay, but he's not that great. He's an upper mid card guy. I don't think he's a champion. He's kind of boring. He's
boring.
Big and muscular. He's big and muscular, but he really is. He's under 6 feet tall, so he's not even giant. Moxley towers over him. He doesn't have the charisma that I mean, it looked bad when Ricky Starks came out and did that pre-match interview, and he looked 10 times cooler than Paige, who just sat there and flexed his tits.
Oh yeah. Before the main event, they had that backstage interview from whatever. I love Ricky Starks' promo. I didn't like Brian Cage. Brian Cage just stood there looking stupid. Like Taz is like, here, move over here because
Okay, and that was taped live. They were just backstage. And then walked over into the thing. So I'm interested now in Ricky Starks a little more. Mm-hmm. He's kind of got a weird body. I mean, it's muscular, but it looks like he has a giant body with a little head. But then look at Brian Cage. He looks like a massive body and a tiny little pinhead. So maybe they will make a tag team.
Ricky Starks, when he challenged Cody, was he a face or a heel?
I think he was. I thought he was more of a face.
Okay, because I must have missed something that happened on AEW Dark because I don't watch it, because apparently now he's a heel all of a sudden.
Well, I don't think he was really presented as either, to be honest.
Oh.
I think he wrestled just sort of down the road, and Cody started healing it up a lot.
Oh, okay.
Cody started getting frustrated like his usual crap and started doing some mean moves.
Right.
So when that happens with a guy kind of going down the middle, it's automatically makes him a face. But to be honest, Elio, I don't think he came out either as a face or a villain. I think he was just a guy getting a chance.
Okay.
So the match goes, Darby Allin takes this crazy jump off the top rope, throws his skateboard on the back of Ricky Starks, does that kind of like move where he, double stomps that through him. Yep. Starks covered in blood and tacks, takes the pin.
I saw that. the camera zooms in on his back with all those thumbtacks.
Yeah, see, when it happened, I said to my wife, she was sitting there during this event, this match, and I looked over at her and I said, "Do you think that those spikes, those tacks on the skateboard are going to make a difference?" And then he turned over and I was like, "Holy crud!" She's like, she was pretty grossed out. But things I'm going to say, Good match. The win, Darby Allin picking up the win after that move, furthers the Ricky Starks Darby Allin thing. We got a little bit further of the Brian Cage Moxley thing. Overall, okay. It was an okay match for who it was. Yeah, it was okay. But I'm gonna say overall, I found AEW this week to be it's still pretty fun. You know, I mean, I could go through and pick every match, give it a rating and stuff like that.
No, I mean,
But
look,
then
looking back at it, it was fun. You know, because from like just what I saw, I'm like, okay, but now that I was reading back every single bit of results, then this, yeah.
It was good. I'm going to give it this week. I'm going to give it a B plus.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the B on this one. It was the last week was fun. This week was fun. Hopefully next week. Well, next week we're gonna have a debate.
Yep. Next week we're going to have some show to compare it to because Impact is going. We're going to be doing Impact next week, folks. We said if Impact got good, we'd watch it. Apparently, it's getting good. We'll watch it till it pisses us off, and then we'll get rid of it if it's.
Apparently we've suspended the weekly race. The weekly race, yes. Okay.
We are not going to start the weekly race until UK comes back. NXT UK.
Okay.
When they start doing it, and then we still have AEW and New Japan, or we don't usually do and MLW. We need our 3 contenders back. When the three of them are back,
actually, this is just a rumor that I read. Like, I'm not sure how true it is. I hope it's true, but apparently MLW is going to be going live again soon.
Cool. I hope so.
Now, right now it's just a rumor, but I hope it's true. Comes true.
Me too. There's some really good wrestling we're missing there.
Yep.
So, folks, a fun week of AEW. I'm going to watch NXT this week and send in my vote this week. I was trying to explain to Elio how I tried in my mind of maybe trying to compare the shows by rating matches and comparing the average scores, sort of like they do at POV. But I felt by doing that, it didn't actually capture the essence of what the whole show meant. Because there's been times where I've watched NXT and saw some tremendously great matches, but I've had to watch it in like 2 or 3 sittings because overall it's a little drab and a little bit boring, and then it goes into a really good match, and then drab and boring, and I need a break. So lots of times lately, AEW may have a couple good matches like tonight, but they'll also have some matches that aren't the best, you know, like the women's match or stuff like that. But it tends to be a funner show because it has a breadth to it. There was no time where I got bored or I had to watch it in 2 sittings, you know?
Yep.
I could watch it straight through and go, oh. And unfortunately, the only thing that suffers from NXT, the wrestling's really good, okay? But the production and the way it looks sometimes is so dry and drab, I have to watch it in like 2 or 3 different settings just to get it. So, well, you know what, Elio? I'm glad I'm back. I'm glad you didn't join it. You didn't become the totally traitorous cur dog that I thought you were for going over to WPOV. I'm glad to see you're back home where you belong. I had a good vacation. Went back to my hometown, spent some time refocusing my head, and hopefully ready for the rest of this year. It's been a tough year, folks. You know, I had a job that I loved for many years here that our place went out of business because of this COVID. So we're not even close to done, you know, like I still got a couple months before I can even look for a job. You know, I've talked before, I'm a diabetic and I've had cancer as a kid. I can't risk being out there around people who could have it. And right now here in Alberta, our numbers are rising every day. We're the hot spot in Canada. Well, I know for us, it freaks us out here because in the beginning of all this, Elio, we did, all of us in Alberta, we were pretty vigilant. We were pretty hardcore. Most of us went in for like the 3 or 4 months of no contact with people. And then when it seemed like the numbers started to dip, it's like all the young people lost their fucking minds here and they decided, I don't want to be inside anymore. And then everyone was doing this shit. And now all of a sudden we have the most numbers.
It's the same here because a couple of weeks back, there's a nightclub down in this fashion district of Toronto, and they they held a secret party with like 250 people, no social distancing. The cops were called.
Is that the one you were doing the exotic dancing at?
She was thinking I
Where it
would
was
be.
the gentleman bears all?
What's going on?
I don't know. That's when I saw this. I was a little disappointed in you, but I thought I'll let it go. I'll let it go. Elio's a big boy. Apparently, the girls think you're a very big boy. But anyways, folks, we had a fun time this week. Special shout outs and props to the guys at WPOV. We got our sister show. They have an episode every week covering the WWE, almost everything in there except UK, which we cover here on Global. Over there we have Tony Diaz and Ric Serrano III and Miguel covering that show. Over here at Global, you've got me and you got the legend. You've got Elio Canella, the gentleman. We cover everything that's big. We cover New Japan, we cover AEW, we cover all the stuff that's not WWE centric except for NXT UK, and we just try and give you guys a look at some of the good wrestling that's out there that you may have missed. And so you know what, Elio, it's been a really fun time this week. We got a lot of laughs. We talked some serious stuff. We got to see some good wrestling. We got to see some shitty wrestling. Sounds like a regular week, a day of wrestling. But I want to thank you, Elio. It's been a fun this week. Folks, also tune into WPOV Quarantine, where we do our video presentation on Zoom. You get to see a taped version of it, or you can listen to the audio-only version. Usually I bring in a couple indie wrestlers from different parts of the world or some special guests. We sit down and talk about a topic. Recently, we talked about, being on vacation, I didn't get a chance to book some guests. So unfortunately, it was me, Elio, and Ric Serrano III talking all about the rise and fall of TNA as we looked at it. And basically from 2002 to 2010. And it was a fun time. Check that out. I know coming up next week, I'm looking at the monsters of professional wrestling, where we'll talk about people like Abdullah the Butcher, Bruiser Brody, maybe Rhonda Singh, some other people who, were the monster character. The week after that, we're going to try to crack at New Japan Wrestling, take a good look at that. And then 3 weeks down the line, and I'm excited about this, folks, we are going to be doing factions and families. And just to get that kind of vibe going, we have Raven Lake, who's becoming a regular contributor to the show. She has 2 daughters who are professional wrestlers, Bambi Hall and Liza Hall. All 3 of them will be joining us for that episode. So we're looking forward to that. So Elio, thank you for your input this week. Folks, we love you all. Keep safe. Keep vigilant. We can ride this thing out. We can get rid of this thing. We can go back to our lives. But if we just idiots and go to secret parties and do dumbass shit, we're going to be stuck watching people die constantly. So we send our love here, all of us here at Global. We send our loves out to all our North American listeners this week. We're concentrating on you guys, all our American friends, all our Canadian brothers and sisters. We're with all of you. We wish nothing but the best. We want to wish you a good night. And Elio, tell the people good night.
All right, fans, we will talk to you all next week.